Hello, Aries. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Aries is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment, consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. These readings are totally free. If there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Aries, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And we've got a 9 of Cups. This is the dream that keeps on dreaming. This is happiness that keeps on happening. This is abundance, fulfillment, and joy on the physical, financial, mental, emotional, and spiritual creative planes. This is you living a happy life. Yeah. And I like this card. It's got to be my favorite card of the tarot pack. Now, you have to excuse my voice. I got allergies and stuff. Don't usually sound like this. This is a very, very positive card. This is the most kind of hopeful card in the tarot pack. I feel like this is kind of saying like all of our dreams are going to come true. Okay, let's put this card into a little bit of context. I feel like you're somebody who knows what they want. I feel like you know what the happy life is. You know, not the productive life, not necessarily the so-called successful life, but a happy life. A life that we enjoy, waking up in the morning and living that life. Yeah. Let's put this into a little bit of context. We're going to use our Dove and Serpent spread. You got the Chariot card. Okay, interesting. 2 of Swords. We've got a Prince of Wands. We've got a 7 of Wands. And we have a 4 of Pentacles. Okay. All right. I feel like we're kind of being called to an adventure here. Right? We have this fixed fire energy. We have this very solid earth energy. And of course, we have the questing chariot here, right? That fortification necessary to go on a difficult journey. Yeah, interesting. Over here, we have the Devil card, a 5 of Pentacles. We have a 5 of Wands and a 10 of Cups. Wow. Okay. All right. I feel like the 9 of Cups is you living that happy life because you are doing the thing in life that you really want to do. You're in service to something that is beyond you. Yeah. You're in service to something that is kind of it's part of your true nature. It's part of your true will. This card is about discipline and loyalty and commitment. Right? This is almost an obligation that we have toward our own soul, toward spirit, toward the divine, maybe toward your family. Okay, I feel like you've been having some family stuff going on lately where you've been more focused on your family members. Okay. Well, let's select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. And we're going to set it down right here. Nope, it's not. We're on a new cycle now, so it's not Jimbo anymore. We'll go with Michael Scott right there on top. And we're not going to look at that card until the very end, but it will tie everything together. It will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading, okay? If you have a prediction for that card, please put it in the comments down below. Now, as we look around the room, we see really these 2 major arcana energies only, right? The Devil and the Chariot. Basically saying, keep your car in good shape and keep the engine maintained. Remember why you're out here driving the car, okay? You're on a quest now. Your life is your quest. And I feel like it's a quest that you're feeling when you really think about it, you like it. I think you love it. I think that there are challenges. Of course, look, we see the 7 of Wands, 5 of Wands, 5 of Pentacles. Challenges, yeah. Yeah, nobody likes a road that is too smooth. Maybe we can test the top speed or something in the car, but life is full of potholes, full of speed bumps, full of twists and turns and ups and downs. And that's what really is fun driving the car, seeing how you can handle those, those country roads and things, right? But safely, of course. So the major arcana is saying, keep going, maintain the car, make sure you have an engine that kind of understands what its motivations are. This is why you're here. I feel like you have locked yourself into a path, and Spirit's saying it's going to be abso-freaking-lutely amazing 10 of Cups here, all right? You've got, obviously, fire, fire, fire. You've got water and water, a little bit of air, just a little bit of air. And you have the earth energy, a 4 and a 5. Anytime we get a 4, we look for the 5. Anytime we get a 5, we look for the 4. So you've got both of those. So I feel like you understand the sort of, stop and go traffic. You understand speed bumps. You understand challenges of life. And because this is your service to the divine in you, there's no giving up. There's no quitting here, So these two cards together, it says that, to me, at least it tells me that you're taking a road trip that you really do enjoy. And of course, there are struggles along the way. You know what kind of a happy life you want to lead. You know what the feeling tone of your life is. See, we don't have a lot of pentacles here. This is a 10 of Cups, a 9 of Cups, not pentacles. Because the pentacles would show us the life that we want in the details of it. I want this much money. I want this color house. This is the wallpaper. This is the furniture. And this is who's there. This is my pets, my plans, my people. I know what it is. I can see it, right? This is kind of the same thing, but it's not I can see it. This is I can feel it. I know what my best life is going to feel like. I know what love is when I find it. I know what success is when I feel it, right? So this is where the charioteer is going, trying to bridge the gap between, let's say, living the happy life and perhaps still striving to grow that life, develop that life, and sort of cultivate the garden, right? This is a contentment, this is a peace, this is a bliss. This is saying the journey is over and you can rest. Of course, we know with the 10 of Cups that the journey is never really over. The 10 of Cups is just our way of saying an infinite number of something. Like I tell my daughter, if you can count to 10, you can count to any number you want, right? So this doesn't have to be a limit. It's not to say like, well, once I kind of feel content with my life, that feeling's going to fade at some point, isn't it? At some point I'm going to start thinking, well, maybe I want to plant another garden. Maybe I want to do something else. Maybe I want to get another pet or another plant or find some more people. We're going to go back to a 9 at some point in life. Okay. And really that's kind of what the tarot shows us, that life is us going from a 9 to a 10, from happiness, like everything's good, I'm happy, I'm living the life, to absolutely blissed out, content, right? This is us eating at the buffet. This is when you take that last bite and you're feeling the euphoria of having had just the right amount of food. But you're going to be hungry again in a couple hours, right? And that's us going back to the 9 where we're sort of hungry again. So I feel like you're living a life that is really, truly fun, exciting, with challenges, yes. But I feel like you love the people you're with. I feel like physically, financially, you're doing the right stuff. You have goals and you're working toward them. Mentally, emotionally, I feel like you have good connections in your life. I feel like you're stimulated. Creatively and spiritually, I feel like you have a wonderful practice of spirituality. I feel like you are a very creative person. Okay? So in the background, we have this Prince of Wands, right? This is kind of a Leo energy. It's very close to your Aries energy, but it's more of a Leo style. This is really a kind of long-term commitment. I feel like this is perseverance. I feel like you're somebody who has been through the long, difficult middle of something, and you've realized that by pushing through with it, you would get your 9 of Cups. If I just keep going, if I just stay the course, I'm going to feel happier and happier. It's like me when I'm focused. Right now I'm doing this whole like health and wellness kind of thing. I'm trying to lose a little weight. Just for me, just so I can be a little more heart healthy, right? I'm trying to ride the recumbent bicycle a little bit more often. I don't like it. I don't like losing weight. I like eating, And I don't like exercising, but by doing the things that we do, by me trying to be more mindful of what I eat and to eat more intentionally, and for me to move my body more intentionally, I may be pushing myself with the fives here, but I'm producing something that feels good. At the end of the day, when I say, yeah, you know what, I controlled my eating and I got some exercise, I'm happy. There's other stuff going on in life. I'm not perfect. I still need to lose some weight, doctor's orders kind of thing. But I'm happy, I'm happy with the work that I do, even though things can be a struggle, right? I'm happy with, the life that I'm leading. And I feel like this is us realizing, and this is in your past, I feel like you realize that by sticking with something that you truly care about, that means something to you, you will become happy, right? Even if things aren't perfect. Happiness does not mean everything is perfect. Doesn't mean every day is just like sunshine and rainbows and puppy dogs and unicorns and cotton candy and ice cream. It means that we have established in our life a control or a power in ourselves that say, I've determined what I want to do in life, and I'm doing my best to fulfill that. Okay? We fail very often. We see that with the Seven of Wands up here. It's not always the happy feeling, but it's a life that has purpose and meaning. That's really what the Nine of Cups is all about. We're living a life that has purpose and meaning. And in that sense, we are fulfilling ourselves. We're filling up our cups. We're fulfilling our nature. We're fulfilling our divine mandate. We're fulfilling our will. We're fulfilling the destiny that Spirit has laid out before us. And this is your commitment to certain things in your life. And I feel like there are physical, financial goals for you, mental, emotional kind of perceptions, awareness, observations, things that you want to be present in your mental, emotional life. And of course, spiritually, creatively, you have to have a creative outlet, and you have a spiritual practice, I feel. But the commitment to the life, the commitment to the life, this has probably been a long commitment for you. I feel like you've always been fairly disciplined, and you've been really trying to focus on more of that discipline now. Well, that's what we have here with the Chariot card too. It's a card of discipline. It's a card of self-control. It's a card of taking care of our chariot, right? We are the charioteer. Our divine flame is the holy grail in the middle of the charioteer. But the chariot is our body, let's say, our life, our structure, the scaffolding of the building, right? The foundations, really. And so this card is literally we got to keep the car clean. If you respect it and you love it and you cherish it and you want it to take you on a lot of road trips, you got to maintain the car, not just the internal stuff, the engine and the transmission and stuff, but you want it to look nice. You want to protect the paint. You want to wash the windows, And so I feel like you're focused on a lot of these kinds of things, cleansing, but also building up in the healthy way on every plane. Again, we have 3, 3, and 3. The physical, the sort of mental plane, and the spiritual planes. In every dimension of your life, you're focused on the things that we can do to live, to grow, right? To love and to have more joy in our lives. And this is that sense of responsibility. This is the commitment. It feels like you are obligated to something, okay? Now, we could be talking primarily about a physical or financial thing, primarily maybe a relationship, maybe primarily your creative work. Okay, there may be a specific realm for you that this is kind of the focus. Okay, it might be Spirit's way of saying, hey, we kind of have to, we got to shape up a little bit in a certain area, because what you're doing in the future, the near future, is you're establishing this foundation. This is the foundation from which you're going to reach for the stars, from which you are going to reach for your 10 of Cups. Okay, and that is a foundation of ritual, of these routines in our lives that become sacred acts, become holy acts in your life. Yeah, the Four of Pentacles is usually a card of earthly power, and it makes us feel really between, fire and earth, right? My favorite combination of cards, fire and earth. And we see that the application of our will and our discipline is going to create a change in the physical environment. You're building up power in yourself by these little daily habits, by checking things off your list every day, by ending the day thinking, you know what, I did a lot of good stuff today. I did a lot of good work. Things aren't perfect. I'm not perfect. I made mistakes, but I'm not focused on the mistakes. I'm focused on all the good things that I did, all the things I can check off my list. And what that is doing is building up in you a power. And that is the power to really do anything you want, right? It is a magical power that is, it's allowing you to direct your will and to make things happen in the physical world, whatever they might be, okay? So in the immediate future, we really are trying to solidify a lot of these sort of practices, I think, right? It feels like we're trying to build up a strong foundation. And, you know, in my sort of, you know, my life, my personal life, I guess, this would be about me getting my kind of daily habits built into myself. You know, you repeat something often enough and it becomes a habit. Everybody has habits. Everybody. That's all. We're just basically our psyche is a collection of habits, right? It goes deeper than that when you think about the neurobiology and neurochemistry and all that kind of stuff. But it's habits. You do something one time, you're more likely to do it again. You do it again and again and again and again. Eventually, you're doing it without even recognizing it. You know, the way I might turn on my turn signal in the car, I don't even think about it anymore. I've done it so many thousands of times in my life that it's pretty automatic. So these are those things that we choose to establish in our lives. Because if we're all habits all the time, why not have a little bit of choice, you know? Well, that's our two of swords. We can choose which habits we want to build into ourselves. And I think we're building up here habits that are going to lead to more earthly power, but habits that we can, at the end of the day, we can be very happy that we've established some good habits and that we have consciously done some good things today that will become habits, right? And so we're not focusing on all the mistakes I made. Oh, I had too much ice cream that day. Or, you know, I only meditated for 11 minutes instead of 20 minutes. We can take just the act of doing it as a win, right? And we can focus on those things that feel good. We can choose to focus on the positive emotion that says, okay, I meditated today. That's one drop in the bucket, right? And like yesterday, I got some exercise and I didn't overeat, right? That's a win, right? That's a drop in the bucket. That's going to become a habit. And we may have to focus with discipline, focus our attention on these things for a long time in order to make them a habit. But that's life. That's how you build the good life, okay? And the two of swords, of course, is the choice, realizing that we can choose which habits we want to build into our lives. You have the habit, or I have the habit anyway. As soon as I wake up in the morning, I'm checking my phone, right? I'm checking my phone. And that's a habit that now, I don't even think about it. Now, as soon as my eyes open, it's phone, scrolling. So what am I doing? I'm trying to not do that. I'm trying to wake up. I'm trying to have a few seconds of mindfulness, right? When I first open my eyes, a few moments of mindfulness. I'm trying to be mindful as I walk out of the bedroom into the living room and I start getting my glass of water. I start making my tea, drinking corn silk tea today. I'm trying to rotate these teas. The next one I might try is the holy basil tea. I don't know if you've had it, but I haven't had it before. I'm very excited for it. But we can make different choices. And then, of course, it's going to take a long time for me to not automatically get up and scroll the phone. I'm going to have to really pay attention to myself. And I'm going to have to choose, oh, wait, put the phone down. I'm going to do these other habits. I'm going to have a moment of meditation or silent prayer. I'm going to get up mindfully and walk to the kitchen and start doing my stuff with awareness, with intention, and I'm not going to turn the phone on for a while. And it's going to take a long time for one habit to replace the other. Okay, so it has to be a conscious choice. We have to be able to apply our energy to it. Okay, and it's going to be a struggle, but that's the choice. We can choose which habits we want to build into our lives. If we want a happier life, we need some happier habits. We need some habits that make us feel good. We need to make them rituals, not habits. Yeah, and the Seven of Wands up at the top here is this is the difficulty. This is the struggle. It's just little old me, that little stick in the middle. I'm that little stick right there against these really huge, well-established habits. You know, picking up your phone, scrolling your feed first thing in the morning. That's a really big habit that's already made a very strong pathway in your psyche. And then that stick is just little old me trying to do something different, trying to go against the grain, trying to replace that habit with something I choose that's going to make me happier in life, right? And it's not easy. It feels like we're up against a giant. It's a David and Goliath kind of thing. And of course it is. You know, can you imagine now if I'm trying to not use my turn signal? I don't know why I would do that, but that's a habit that I've been doing literally for 30 years. 30 years I've been using my turn signal. Not every day. I'm not perfect, but for 30 years, it's a habit, right? Can you imagine now if I'm trying to break that habit? If I'm trying to not use my turn signal? I mean, you have to really be paying attention every second to catch yourself before you hit that button. Nope, not gonna do it. Again, I don't know why I would try to break that habit. That's a good habit. That's a habit that makes me happy, you know, and probably makes other motorists happy too. But that's to illustrate how difficult it would be to break a habit. So we don't really break the habit. We have to replace it with something different. You know, so replacing, I wake up, scroll my phone. No, now I'm going to wake up and I'm going to put my hands together and I close my eyes. I'm not going to go back to sleep, but I'm going to say a silent mantra or a prayer or an affirmation or an act of mindfulness as I get out of bed. I'm replacing one with the other. That's how we can defeat the Goliath in our life, right? So I feel like you're somebody who is trying to do all of this work, as I think a lot of us are, you know, and we're up against a giant here. And it's going to be difficult. There will be days where we fail. There will be days where we fall into our typical habits and we don't even realize till the end of the day, oh, I forgot to do all this stuff, right? And now it's up to you whether you determine to start small. Just pick one habit that you would like to replace, or pick one habit that you would like to start and figure out where you're going to fit that in. And if you can overwrite an existing habit with it, all the better. Okay, but it's up to you to choose whether you're going to do one at a time and then layer it and build up your power. Sort of maybe like take a week and build up one good habit every week, right? To start growing, building this castle, right? Or if you kind of want to do all in, everything at once, I'm just going to do the whole day, you know, and keep going and build up that habit, those habits, you know. It's up to you. It's according to your demeanor. I kind of feel as if you're the type of person that is willing to just like go all in and like really bring a shock to the system, you know, by trying to do a lot of good habits at once. It kind of like it forces us to stay awake all day and paying attention like all day long, you know, because if you have one habit, then as soon as you do it, you can kind of go on autopilot for the rest of the day. And sometimes that's easier and we can build up momentum over time. I feel like you're somebody that's saying, no, I'm going to go all in today. And that means I got to stay awake all day because every hour or something, I'm going to do a certain thing or, you know, whatever your system is, right? But now on the path of the serpent, we see the devil card. By the way, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. The readings are totally free. The devil card here is your general energy. This is your motivation. So this is like you're in service to something higher. You have to have the engine of the car has to be tuned up. The engine wants to just drive right up the hill without stopping, wants to just go to the very top. Okay. And this is good. I think we need to maintain this energy inside of us. Of course, the engine of the car would be nothing without the motor mounts, the frame of the car, the transmission, the tires, and of course you steering the car, right? This is just power by itself. This is power that's been harnessed, okay, and can transport our lives. Big time, okay? The problem with the devil card is that it is tempted by other things. Sometimes those bad habits, right, they feel good. Those bad habits feel good. My habit, I used to have a habit of eating ice cream every night. Oh, it felt good. And it took a long time to break that habit. And now I'm very little sugar. In fact, no sugar at all usually, except what's natural and like vegetables and stuff. Of course, I still sometimes, I treat myself. But the bad habits are very, very tempting. And so this is a card of temptation. And I feel like you're somebody who I feel like there's one particular thing that you're having a hard time sort of giving up or breaking free from. Not permanently. I don't have to say, I'm never having ice cream again. No, I can say, hey, I'm choosing to replace that habit with a better habit. So at night, I have just a glass of water. And so I got a whole thing going on. I don't really want to get into it, but I stop having anything to consume after like 7 p.m. I take my last medication with a glass of water, and that's it. And then for a couple hours I'll read, I'll spend time with Lenore, and our daughter's going to sleep and things. And that's kind of the evening now. Instead of like the ritual of having the ice cream, now it's the ritual of the final drink of water at night, and then putting the baby to bed and spending time with Lenore, and and closing out the night, right? But I feel like in your life there is one thing that you're very tempted by. And this is the thing that you really have to pay attention to, because you're going to kind of fall into the habit, and then you're going to catch yourself later on and be like, oh, I forgot to not do that. So I think there's one we're trying to replace with something else, okay? Because it's not enough to say no and try to break the chain. We've got to replace it with something else. We've got to chain ourselves to something stronger that's going to pull us away from that old devil, So I feel like this is really good energy for you to have. It's the strength that you have inside of the engine, right? The car. I think of like a car with a chain tied to the bumper, and your power is strong enough that you can drive forward and that chain's going to snap. But you might need some help pulling the car forward with another chain, right? You can imagine a chain on the front bumper pulling the car this way. Maybe not the bumper, but like the frame of the car anyway. The Five of Pentacles here in your relationships. I wonder if there is a habit in terms of your relationships that you're trying to break or shake up a little bit. You're trying to pay attention to how you behave in your relationships when you're interacting with other people. This is a card of change. Okay, I feel like your relationships are changing, and maybe this isn't about ice cream, or this isn't about scrolling your phone. Maybe this is a habit of like the way we interact with people, the way we talk to people, the way we perhaps are too ready to engage with other people or get sort of attached to other people, something like this. Because the fives here are all about the change, right? This is our habit. This is us disrupting the habit, and then new habits form. So we're always paying attention to the habits that we're building, and we're always sort of checking in on them. We're always kind of what Castaneda said, Don Juan, Carlos Castaneda, what they say about stalking ourselves. You got to stalk yourself. You've got to kind of sit quietly and just look at what you're doing. And then you catch yourself, aha. So you can witness yourself in a natural habit. And then you say, okay, I've learned my own habits now. And now that I've learned those habits, I can change them. I can replace it with something else. First, we have to develop that power of attention, which I feel like is what you did back here. Developing the power of attention so that you can see the habits and you can see which ones you want to try to break free from and which ones you need to develop in order to help you break free of the bad ones, I feel like there is something going on in the relationships. I don't know right now if there's something going on with money. I think somebody owes you money or something like that. Or there's some kind of a financial transaction that you're upset about, right? Something's going on with the money. The Five of Wands in the position of the obstacle. And that really is, to me, the key, this sort of the sticking with it. You know, we realize that the good habits, the happy life is built up over time through these good routines, habits, and as I call them, rituals, right? But the difficulty is just keeping it going for a long time. That's all it is. That's the key. It's the most difficult key. You did it once, great. You got to do it 1,000 more times, right? Once you do it for 30 years, maybe you'll have a pretty decent habit built up, you know. The problem is, as we get older, it's more and more difficult for us to change. And that's why this is the card of change, but this is in the position of the difficulty. It's difficult to change the older we get. Now, if you're a teenager, I'm jealous. It's easy to change when you're a teenager, or when you're a kid, when you're a baby, right? Changing all the time. Neuroplasticity is at its peak when you're young. The older we get a little bit more solidified. We get a little bit more like, you know, kind of crusty in our brains. It's not impossible, but it's more difficult. The difficulty is to shift our attention and notice our habits, and to sort of to start building new ones in order to replace those old ones. It's really the neuroplasticity. It's about us learning anything. And to learn something, we have to repeat it over and over and over again. And it may have been very easy when we were teenagers. It's been, you know, as teenagers, a lot of kids, they develop very bad habits when they're teenagers. Let's say you're learning a musical instrument. When you're young and you first start learning the musical instrument, you better have a really good teacher so you can develop the right habits, the right technique. Because you start playing your instrument the wrong way. By the time you're older, it's going to be very hard for you to go back and replace those bad habits with good technique. Okay, trust me, I know. I played the drums. I started when I was a teenager. I probably was 11, maybe 12 years old when I started. And I developed some bad habits. You know, bad stick control, bad, you know, hand placement, and the ergonomics, I guess. And so it's more difficult to fix those later. Okay, and anyone who plays an instrument knows what I'm talking about. Anybody who's learned any skill ever knows what I'm talking about. But as we get older, it's more difficult to do that. And it is the shift in attention. This is a card that says, what are we paying attention to? You know, let's be aware of ourselves. Okay. And the Ten of Cups. If we can do the change, if we can continue to expand and sort of develop the good habits in our life, we're destined for happiness. It doesn't matter to me what you're doing, right? What matters is that you're choosing healthy habits and you're establishing them into rituals. And those rituals are profound, they are sacred, they are meaningful rituals. Okay? It's one thing to just pick something arbitrary and say, you know, every day at 5 o'clock I'm going to stand on one foot and cluck like a chicken. Okay, I might do it once or twice, but it's not going to become a habit. Why? Because I don't give a shit about it. Pardon my language. It doesn't mean anything to me. It doesn't grip me. It doesn't feel like it's a holy, sacred thing. And that's the key here too. That's why we've got the chariot here holding that holy grail. And then we have the ultimate fulfillment of life, right? This feeling as if you are right where you are supposed to be. This feeling that we don't really need anything else, that our life is good, right? To me, this is a dream come true. And you may have a lot of aspirations beyond just good habits. Maybe you're trying to build a business. Okay, you're trying to be a successful business owner. You need some good habits. You're trying to be a star musician. You need some good habits. You're trying to raise a wonderful family. You need some good habits. Anything you do, it's not an overnight success, right? And you want any of your dreams to come true, what you need are good habits. Yeah. Let's look at the mystery card. I would like to see the Empress. I would like to see the Emperor. I'd like to see the Wheel of Fortune, maybe. If you have a prediction, put it in the comments down below. Let's see. Page of Wands. Yes. Paying attention and trying the new habits. Doing the new thing, right? This is not very much focused on the present moment. The prince, all the princes of the tarot are focused on the present. All of the pages or princesses are focused on the present. Okay, so this is someone who is conscious, has kind of snapped to attention in the moment, and is doing the new habit. Okay, this is the card that's saying we're allowing ourselves room to fail. We're allowing ourselves room to not be perfect. The goal here is just to wake up to ourself in the moment and maybe begin to observe what we're in the middle of doing. Right? Maybe we set a timer on our watch. Every hour or every 72 minutes, a little timer goes off. And when that timer goes off, we stop what we're doing and we pay attention and we look around and say, what habit am I in the middle of doing right now? And then we decide how we're going to proceed. But we're not going to be perfect. We might not remember till hours later. We might remember, but then we might do it imperfectly. We might kind of stumble. We might, it might be a mess at first. That's okay. It doesn't matter. We're training the attention, and we're training, we're building in ourselves a great power. Okay? So we have to be easy on ourselves when we don't get it perfect, but we're going to give it everything we've got. Let's do an extended reading. We're going to do an I Ching hexagram. We're going to do some oracle cards. There is a link in the corner. There's a link down below. New readings for Aries Mondays and Fridays. Be sure to watch both readings. If you want to watch all these readings at the website, go to doveandserpenttarot.com. You can also find me on Patreon. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. The readings are totally free. They don't cost anything. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you, and we're all in this together.